president. Also, this is the most gender-balanced Winter Olympics in the history. So how do you evaluate these two firsts? And also, it's come to the end. What kind of unique feeling do you have, do you want to express to us? My second question is, so this is not only the most spreaded Winter Olympics so far, and also we faced very significant climate change during the Games. What kind of lessons have we learned, and what will leave for the future Olympics to benefit? Thank you.
Thank you. Well, I think my first impression is it goes very quickly, and I can't believe we're already at the end. Can you believe it, Giovanni? But it's been an incredible experience, and I think we're all very proud to have gender equity playing a big role in the delivery of the Games. So that I think we can all be very proud of on that point. As I said previously, it's been a tremendous Games, and being able to watch athletes come together and share in their passion and inspire younger generations and all the spectators in the venues has really been remarkable. On the climate change and the spread of the Games, again, I think there's going to be so many good lessons learned that we can take from it, that we can then adjust and we can realign. And we can move forward, and I think that is part of what every single edition of the Games allows us to do. It allows us to really look at ourselves and look at the things that we have in place, and how we're then going to make certain adjustments for the future, whether it be climate or any other factor that we need to take into consideration as an Olympic movement. So we look forward to doing that and to learning from all the incredible experiences that I think all of the stakeholders have had across these Games, across these past 2 weeks.
Okay, let's go to Graham from AP, and then we'll come across.
Thank you very much, Graham Dunbar from the AP. Going back to your keynote session, the keynote speech at the session at the start, you said very clearly, we are a sports organisation. We understand politics exists, but we are about sports. And then events happen, and then during the Games, you know, you come under intense personal pressure from politicians, and now Paralympics and Andrew Parsons is having some of the same of that kind of pressure. What do you now, from your first Olympic Games, what do you now better understand about all that entails to lead in an Olympic Games, and how it becomes much more than a sports event?
I think that at the end of the day, it is, and it comes down to being able to stick very truly to our principles and values. And that's what we've tried to do here. And I believe we've not just tried, but we've done it. And that is really important. I think once you start straying from the values and the principles of the Olympic movement, then you get into uncharted water, and that's not what we're here to do. We're here to ensure that we create an incredible atmosphere for athletes to live out their biggest dreams. And the athletes have shared with us their greatest moments. They've shared with us some of their greatest tragedies and losses, and they've been able to do that on a field of play that is safe and free, and we'll continue to work towards ensuring that in the future.
Okay, there was a gentleman here waiting for a long time, so let's come, and we'll come back across.
Ole Christian Strøm, Norwegian Broadcasting. Norway wins probably the most gold medals for the fourth consecutive time. It was 16 before the press conference started. So I wonder, can you comment on that? And is this a problem for the IOC? I mean, business-wise, because Norway is a small country, not so interesting for big worldwide companies.
So what was the question exactly?
Is it Norway winning too many medals?
Oh, is it? Are you? Oh, well. I think the problem that I see is that we need to have an Olympic Games in Norway potentially, because if you're winning so many gold medals, you clearly have plenty of venues for the entire Olympic movement to benefit from. So I think that Norway has done an incredible job. You're known for Winter Games, and the Italians are hot on your heels. So let's see what the future Games holds.
Okay, let's go across here to FRZ, and then we'll come across here, and then we'll, yeah.
Christoph Becker, Frankfurt Allgemeine Zeitung. Well, the games have been followed quite closely in Germany as well, as the German NOC is in continuous dialogue with the IOC about hosting future Olympic Games. And so far, one option might have been the 2036 Games. Now, yesterday, the German president, head of state, let it be known that he's not in favor of bidding for those games because he cites, well, historical problems dating back 100 years to the 1936 Games. Do you have an opinion on that? I mean, we had the discussion here about the T-shirts that were being sold in the Olympics shop. I believe the link has been taken down, so those cannot be bought anymore, which seems to indicate that there is a historic problem. So, yeah, what's your opinion? Thank you.
Frankly, and I'm looking at my team because I was not aware that Germany had made any comments in and around 2036. So I don't really have an opinion on it.
You can take a look at it and come back to you, but obviously we try to monitor most global press, but I hadn't seen that, so we'll try to come back to you. Okay, let's do Juliet McCurr there and Takafumi, and then we'll, yeah. Fine.
Hi, Juliet McCurr at the New York Times. Hi, Kirsty.
Hi.
This question is for you. We reported today that a known whistleblower informed WADA weeks ago that the current chair of the Russian anti-doping agency was directly involved with the widespread doping surrounding the Sochi Games. And we have information that the IOC was aware of this, and I'm wondering if it's a big concern for you or the IOC as Russia is being welcomed back to the Olympic and the Paralympic fold.
Okay. I'm really looking at my team, and maybe someone needs to be dismissed because I'm not aware of that either. So,
I hadn't heard it, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I would be very interested to find out more about it. So if you could share it directly with me, because that would be very important information and knowledge.
Takafumi over here. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, if it's on the New York Times, again, I'm looking at my team to be like, what happened, guys? Where are we? But no, I am not aware of that. But maybe we can have a conversation, and my chief of staff is sitting up here in the front. Be nice to have a conversation right after this outside. Thank you.
Yes. Okay. Hello, this is Takafumi Yoshida from Japanese news agency Kyodo News. I have a question to President.
Hi.
Hi. Sorry. As you know, including the AIN and more than 90 countries have taken part in this Olympic Games. And do you think this edition has been a peaceful competition? And if you think it was peaceful, do you share us some example if you have something?
Of peaceful competition, I think you have to look at all the competitions, and at the end of every single competition, look how the athletes are embracing each other. It's incredible. You know, you look at any single competition I've been to, whether it's biathlon, bobsled, skeleton, whether it is the figure skating last night, the ice hockey, the athletes all go over and hug each other and they high five. And, you know, last night it was just the sweetest thing to watch. The last figure skater, the Japanese figure skater, sit and she's waiting for her scores. I think we all realized she had came third before she realized it. And then she realized it and she looked over to Alyssa, who had won gold, and she was like, third? Like she was trying, you know, and they ran up and hugged. And that is the best thing, right? They have so much respect for each other. They're inspired by each other's performances. And whether that for me is the greatest sign of everything, of peace, of unity, of respect. They choose to respect each other. Doesn't matter where they come from. Like, that has been, you have seen that on every single field of play across these games. And I think that is truly just incredible. It's why we're all sitting here. It's why we have thousands of people, thousands of volunteers, thousands of staff in the MECO on the IOC team, thousands of broadcasters sharing these stories, these images. It's what it reminds us hopefully to be better humans, right? Like if you don't want to walk away from watching that and be like, I'm going to be a better person, then then maybe we need to think about what choices we're making, because I don't think you can not watch that and not want to walk away being inspired by what they're showcasing for us.
Yeah, gentleman right here, Australian colleague, and then we'll go to Reuters and then come across. Yeah.
Oh, your question for Kirsty. Jake Nile from the Age in Melbourne and the Sydney Morning Herald in Australia. Just, you've talked a lot about Olympic ideals, and one famed story that caught a lot of attention, of course, over many decades is the Jamaican bobsled team. When we look at the bobsled teams events in 2s and 4s, we see arguably something that deviates from those ideals in that technology plays a huge role, it seems, in the results. And I look at them, this is no disrespect to the Germans who are outstanding, but they have dominated that event, and it's no secret that there's a huge spending gap and technological gap in that sport. So I would just ask you broadly, first in the bobsled, where there has this romantic past and a present that's quite different, and also as a broad principle of technology driving outcomes in an event that purports to have a level playing field.
Well, I think this is where I think technology can help us. I think that there's huge opportunity for the Olympic movement and sports movement globally to embrace technology in so many different ways that are going to be allowed to close that gap that we see, right? And I think this is also the work of my Olympic sport program working group, where they're looking at all of the different sports on our programs to say, how are we actually looking, whether it be global, what does that look like? Are we being fair? Is it accessible? Are these sports accessible to everybody? What does that look like? Because there is a big part of us that has to allow for that to happen. So these are all the evaluations that are ongoing. I know that some international federations are a little nervous about this process, and at some point we are going to go back to them and talk to them. But I do think that as a movement we have to be able to really better understand the sports in which the environment they're playing and living today. And part of what you've just shared with us is some of that context that we are looking into to see how can we develop sports, how can we make them more accessible, and how can we level out that playing field. I do think technology is going to be able to help, but there also needs to be a sort of strategic way forward on how we're going to implement that and what that's going to look like. And this is the work, or some of the work that we're trying to do now.
Okay, there was a question from Reuters at the back there. Gentleman with his hand up. 3 or 4 more questions, I think, probably.
Thank you, Kirsty. Ian Axon from Reuters. I just wonder what your response is to the IPC's decision to allow Russian and Belarusians to compete under their own flag, and will the IOC follow suit?
Okay, so the IPC, as you guys all know, completely separate organization, so we were not a part of any of those discussions. And for right now, we're focusing on the last 3 days of Milano Cortina and really enjoying these last few moments. There's not been any future discussions discussed at this point.
Yeah, gentleman here in the front. Yeah, and
Hello, everybody. Hello, Mrs. President. I'm Frederic from sportguide.com, and my question will be in French, my language and the Olympic language. Il y aura lundi, les prochains Jeux Olympiques d'hiver auront lieu en France, et il y aura lundi une grande cérémonie au pied des Alpes, avec vraisemblablement le Premier ministre pour le retour du drapeau. Quelle sera la représentation du Comité international olympique pour cette grande journée, et y aura-t-il des réunions de programmées entre le comité d'organisation des Alpes et le CIO à ce moment-là? Merci à vous.
Thank you. I'm assuming during the closing ceremony. I can't discuss any of that. I'm not sure if you want to discuss that. I can't disclose anything, but I know the closing ceremony is going to be wonderful. And in terms of the flag hand to hand over, the specific traditional flag, I think Christoph has a few more details. But it's going to be fabulous, and we're very much looking forward to the French Alps 2013.
President, certainly not on the transmission of flag, mais je crois que ce à quoi vous faites référence, c'est la cérémonie du lendemain à Albertville. Alors, bien sûr que le CIO sera représenté au travers des membres français du CIO qui portent haut les couleurs, comme vous le savez. Donc, ils seront là, bien entendu. Le moment est symbolique puisqu'on ramène le drapeau à Albertville, les Jeux de 92. Donc, au-delà de la transmission à Vérone dimanche, ça sera symboliquement très fort parce qu'effectivement, c'est le point de départ de ces Jeux dans les Alpes, du nord jusqu'au sud, jusqu'à la Méditerranée. Donc, évidemment, c'est un grand moment pour le sport français. Quant à nous, et je crois que c'est tout aussi important, on a là les équipes du comité d'organisation au premier rang avec Giovanni Malago et on doit les remercier. Et vous savez, le lundi, suivant les Jeux Olympiques, il y a une tradition, c'est qu'on remercie le pays hôte et toutes les personnes qui ont œuvré, de la présidence d'un COJO, un volontaire qui est dans un parking, et c'est ce que la présidente et toute l'équipe fera le lundi, remercier un système qui a été remarquable. Et les Français seront représentés encore une fois par les membres du CIO.
Valentina Fas, Sky Sport. Well, as a very proud Italian, Italy is doing very well at these Olympics, clearly feeling a home effect. I was wondering if there's been talks, I'm sure there have, about the legacy that these Olympics will leave here in Italy for future generations. And my other question was linked a bit to what you said before. You were an athlete yourself. You started working in the IOC before becoming a president. How much is politics in some ways taking over more of your time rather than having to deal with the organization of events and thinking about the athletes?
I should just say, by the way, we had a whole press conference yesterday on legacy, and we talked extensively about legacy, so we can give you all the details.
Thank you.
No, thank you. And as you said, I think, Mark, we can share more of the legacy, the specifics. But one of the things that I think these games have truly allowed for there to be legacy is not just the home team doing extremely, extremely well, which is exciting because you get to see the true passion of all of Italy. And I think that these athletes, whether they've won a medal or not, the Italian team are going to be inspirational heroes to so many people around the country and around the world. And that in of itself is a very strong legacy because they've just inspired another Olympian that in 20 years' time are going to be able to say the games were at home in Italy and inspired me, and I'm now doing this because of that, right? We will hear those stories. But then I want to share when I was in Livigno, we went to Casa Italia, which is and was beautiful, but also the training center there. The support from the mayor in terms of the legacy in and around the venues in Cortina are just incredible, really. The focus on the community and the focus on how these venues are going to add value to community living and lifestyle was the sole driving part that he spoke about, right? He spoke about how young kids are going to be learning to go down the sliding track on whatever, on luge, skeleton, bobsleigh, and how that his community, one of the youngest communities, if I'm understanding correctly, in Italy, are going to have, and how that for them is, they're so proud of that. It was incredible to see a community leader talking about the impact that he already is seeing, and that I think is very exciting. And that was witnessed everywhere, in Bormio as well, with the mayor and the ski mountaineering venue. And I think the one thing is I spent some time in Livigno. We went all the way up to the top of the half pipe, and I was very fortunate to get to do that. And the team were so proud because they now know that they can deliver these venues, and they have all of the equipment to do it. And they were already talking to the International Federation presidents to say, when can you come back and when can we hold a World Cup? And can this now become a yearly World Cup stop? That is something you really have to be so proud of doing. And a lot of these venues are going to open up new opportunities for athletes and for sports that Italy hadn't yet won a medal in, which I don't know if there's really many, but it is showcasing that you have that capacity, you have that ability, and you have that ability from grassroots, right? The people that were running the venues in Livigno are born and raised and live in Livigno, and they raise their families there, so they have an invested interest into this. And this is the legacy that we're seeing, and this is a legacy that is going to allow for Italy to continually be very high up on the medals, and maybe one day give Norway a little run for your money.
Okay, going to take one or two more questions if there are any. No, I think we're... Oh, yeah, no, yeah, that was the final question here. Then let's just go for across here.
Yeah, question for the President, Robert Kimber, German TV. Ms. Coventry, a couple of days ago, the Russian sport minister, who is at the same time the president of the NOC, was quoted in an EBU interview that, or he requested again that Russian athletes should come back to world stage, and that he came up with the idea of suing the IOC maybe for financial compensation because of their supporting athletes all over the years. What is your position on that, the IOC's position on that, and how do you assess or evaluate these quotes or these threats coming from Russia in an ongoing discussion if there might be a way back for Russia, for Russian athletes on world stage?
Well, right now there's not been any discussions on that matter. So for now we're focusing purely on Milano Cortina in the last couple of days. So as and when we look at having those conversations, we'll look at everything. But right now there's nothing planned for the near future.
Okay. Thank you very much, everybody. As the President said, we will be concentrating in the last few days. Hope you can manage to see some sport. Thank you very much, and thanks, Christoph, as well. Thank you, President.
Thank you.